Hi, and welcome back to the Britt Show, where we uncover stories that inspire and challenge us. Hollywood keeps churning out dark, divisive films. So, why are the audiences flocking to stories of hope? Angel Studios is answering the call of the audience. Their animated hit, The King of Kings, earned a 98% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. That is huge. And it grossed over $45 million in just 10 days, which outpaced Disney's huge flop, Snow White, which limped to $202 million globally against a $270 million budget. The tide is shifting. And today, David Fischer, the director of business affairs at Angel Studios, joins us to reveal how their unique crowd-funded model delivers films like King of Kings and a 2025 slate that is resonating with families. We're going to dive into their approach, the industry hurdles of Hollywood, and what is next. So let's get started. I want to introduce you to the first sponsor of today's episode, We Heart Nutrition. You have probably heard their name, but have you tried their product? If I am telling you that I am a believer in something, it's because I personally have used it, love it, and I still consistently use it, as is the case with We Heart Nutrition, specifically this newest drop. It's called Wholesome Balance. This was designed for us women whose hormones fluctuate throughout the month. Our hormones do not stay stationary throughout the month, and we don't even stay stationary throughout life. We have things like pregnancy, postpartum, menopause, perimenopause before that, which I'm creeping into, which is really weird. I don't know how I got there. Ever since I started using this, I can tell you I have noticed I just feel steadier throughout the month. I think that's the best way to explain it. I feel supported. And I've used other products in the past that I haven't felt any difference. I actually feel a difference ever since starting We Heart Nutrition's Wholesome Balance. So give it a try. Go to weheartnutrition.com, code ROOTEDWINGS for an exclusive community discount, and check it out. This is a great company, and I love, love, love this product. Hey, David, thanks so much for sitting down with us.
Great to be with you, Britt.
I'm excited. I was telling you in the green room that I feel like I have a little bit of skin in the game when it comes to Angel Studios, because when you guys first launched, I was like, this is different. Like, what is this? So my family has been watching everything you guys have been putting out for a long time now. And I'm so excited to talk to you about amplifying light through entertainment, which is your mission. So why don't you start by telling us a bit about your personal journey to Angel Studios and what drew you to this mission?
Absolutely. First off, thank you for being a supporter of our work and for you and your family. I mean, that's exactly why we do the work that we do is we want to amplify light for everyone, and especially, for families that are looking for the kind of entertainment that uplifts, that brings us out of darkness.
Yeah.
I came to Angel Studios because I believe storytelling actually shapes culture. And we know that story is upstream from culture and politics, and Angel is doing that in what I would call the most courageous way that I've seen in the industry. What drew me in was the bold mission to amplify light. I've worked with a lot of people in the industry, in law and in philanthropy and entertainment, but this was the first time that I saw a studio that was putting the audience truly in the driver's seat. I mean, YouTube does it a little bit, right? Because if you watch on YouTube, things kind of get pushed up to the top, but the way that Angel has done it's not an executive or some kind of an algorithm that is being spit out. It's the audience. They're the center of green lighting what gets made. And so I'm really excited about that. That's what drew me in, along with just taking on something that's just huge, right? I like to think of it like, what would it have been like to work for Apple before it was Apple, or Tesla before it was Tesla, or Uber before it was Uber? Like, I feel like I'm working for Angel before it's Angel. It's going to be something that people just automatically know what you're talking about when you say Angel. And I'm kind of sitting front row right now for that.
So cool. And it's a revolutionary model. So for those who don't know, let's talk about your crowdfunding approach, how Angel Studios has structured themselves and how it's different than what Hollywood was, which is kind of archaic with what you guys are doing now.
Yeah, I think originally the way that the crowdfunding worked, I mean, we were able to take advantage of kind of new laws that were put into place a handful of years ago, and it allowed us to actually go out and bring many, many people together with a small amount of money to be able to engage in entertainment. And what we found was people loved it. They loved taking their $100 or $50 or even $20 and being a part of shaping the future of storytelling through the big screen and through streaming platforms. We have evolved, and we are still using crowdfunding, but the crowdfunding now is helping us do the marketing and all of the intense marketing that goes into a theatrical release. We bring the crowd together for that. We've also brought the crowd in to actually support Angel like as a whole. So I think Angel to date, you can look this up on the SEC websites. I think we've got, over 25, 30,000 investors, crowdfunders that have said, we believe in what Angel's doing and we want to be a part of this. That's pretty cool.
I pulled this off of your website. It said, through the Angel Guild, over 327,000 members choose which film and TV projects the studio will market and distribute. 104,000 Angel Guild members in 155 countries. That's just crazy to me how much you guys have grown, by the way. Like, mad applause with that.
Now, here's the cool part. Now that we have had like meteoric rise, hockey stick growth in the last several months. So where we are at today, 1.2 million guild members and 150,000 plus, investors on top of that. So 1.2 million. So you had a 300,000 stat. Today we are at 1.2 million guild members that are paying every single month to be a part of this movement. It's not
what's that
really
number?
Not a
Say that number one more time.
I think the actual number is like 1.174 million and change. So pretty close to 1.2 million.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
That is incredible. I mean, and that has grown, like you just said. What do you think the reason is for that insane growth since I pulled the numbers just recently?
Yeah, I think, well, what's happened is when we did something totally different when we released Homestead at Christmas time in 2024, just this past Christmas. We did a launch of a feature film, Homestead, starring, Neil McDonough, pretty powerful action-based family thriller, really is what it is.
Yeah, kind of apocalyptic, right?
Yeah, a bomb drops in LA. Everything goes crazy. The Eastern Seaboard, water is shut down, electricity is off, and people are like, what do we do? And Neil McDonough is the hero that actually has this place in the top of the Rockies that he starts to protect people at. Very, very cool. Well, we did something unique. We also filmed the first 2 episodes of a series called Homestead. Same concept, and we continue the journey. So it would be like, I don't know, what if you released Forrest Gump, and then if you wanted to continue the journey of Forrest or learn more about Forrest Gump, there was a whole series that followed it, right? Or anything. So you could go that night to back home and join the Angel Guild and follow more. And so we actually have the crew. They're making Homestead right now in Utah. The entire season 1 is getting completed. Season 2 has been greenlit. Like that little move. It's kind of the way Angel works. I mean, a ton of incredible creatives. The Harmon brothers are like no other to work with and for. Really fun. And so we try new things. Yeah. And the things that don't work, we move on from. The things that work, we do, and we don't have all the, we're building at a breakneck pace. So it's really
fun. What's cool is it's like you guys just threw out all the rules. It's like, let's just throw them out and then let's kind of like get real creative from a blank slate. You personally have been involved in projects like Sight, and that's about the Chinese doctor, right, who is a surgeon, and Sound of Hope. So I wanted to ask you about those personally. What makes those stories light amplifying for Angel Studios?
I mean, Sight is the story of one of the most influential and profound eye surgeons in history, Dr. Ming Wang. Dr. Ming is like one of these people that you meet him and you just can't believe what he has both accomplished and what he's been through in his life. And he came out of a very dark time during the Cultural Revolution of China. It was back in the 1960s when he was in school and then was ripped out of school, watched teachers and classmates just disappear during that era. And it was a time of communist rule. It was the Great Leap Forward is what they called it in China. And Ming lived through that. And it was there in that darkness that he was supported by his mom and dad, and really given a dream to continue the family tradition of becoming a doctor. And he found perseverance, courage to get to the United States. Crazy story, how that all happened. And when I met him back in 2014, I was just enamored with this story. I immediately followed up and just said, let's have dinner. And we started to talk, and that began a relationship that took 10 years to continue to develop. We spent the first 3 years. I helped him put an autobiography together on his life. We then moved into the screenplay phase, which is all the development of a screenplay. You can't fit someone's life in less than 2 hours very easily, especially when they're alive.
Yeah.
And they want to make sure you get it right.
It's like having a teenager in the passenger seat of the car.
Exactly. They're watching everything you do wrong, and you're like, no, you can't do that wrong.
Yeah.
So we just had a blast together. He has become a dear friend of mine, and the story itself, I was going to actually distribute it with a Universal kind of output deal, a deal that a company had with Universal, and they were excited about the project. And then when I saw what was happening over at Angel, and I heard this rumbling, this was back in like January of 2023, a few months before their first theatrical release of His Only Son, the story of Abraham and Isaac. That was a little $250,000 movie that did 15 million, ultimately, or, just under that in the box office. And I just thought, these guys have something going on. So I actually unwound my previous distribution relationship and went to Angel and started a conversation with the Harmons and told them about this story. And they were just like, we love this story. This story is a bullseye on who we are and what we do. And that started the relationship for myself as a producer, coming on board and trying to find stories that take us from darkness to light. And that was always kind of the theme of Sight, not just, physically, right? But spiritually and emotionally. We all have a past, Britt. Like, we all have a past, and there's things that hold us back. And that's ultimately the theme of Sight is, it's not just his extraordinary story, but it's also about all of us have an extraordinary story. And all of us at some point have to say, I'm not going to let my past dictate my future, because the present is made possible by all of my past, not just the past that I want to remember, but all of my past. And that resonated with the Angel Guild. They approved us. And I worked with the Harmons going forward. I got the poster right back there. There's my Sight poster.
That's so cool.
In the back.
What do you think, just to spitball here, what do you think it is about stories like Sight and stories that, like you said, bring people from darkness into light? We haven't seen a whole lot of that in Hollywood over the past decade, but something obviously is changing, because you guys over at Angel are growing at rapid pace, and there definitely is like a hunger for what you are producing and putting out. What do you think it is? What has made what Hollywood is putting out less appetizing all of a sudden?
Yeah, I think people, people understand in their hearts what it is that they long for, and I would say a fairly universal thing that we all long for is to be seen, to be loved, to be known, to be heard, right? And
I agree. Yep.
In order to be known, like in my heart, in order to be known, parents can know your children, right? Spouses can know one another in a way that you help them be seen. Employers, right? Our bosses in life, and in our faith communities, and just across the board. I think people want to be known. And today, at the heart of being known is a selflessness. Think about the next social gathering that you're at. How much are we trying to know the person we're talking to, or are we just waiting to tell our own story to them? Right? We're always kind of thinking of our stuff. And Angel really looked at it and said, instead of us building the studio that we think should happen, we're going to actually ask the audience. We're going to ask the audience, what do you want? And that's kind of in that we want them to be seen and heard and known Most of Hollywood stories today have a particular angle, and they want to see it. They want to see their agenda kind of forwarded. I would say our agenda is the audience's agenda. We want you guys to be known and heard.
One of my favorite movies that you guys put out, we just recently went and saw, is of my own personal hero, Dietrich Bonhoeffer. He, like, his writing completely transformed my life when I was 18 working at Disneyland. And I would have this huge cost of discipleship book with me backstage. I was one of the characters at Disneyland. You can guess who. But I would be reading, like, as a teenager, just these rich theological books that literally shaped my mind and the way that I viewed the world. I read Letters from Prison, and just I fell in love with him, and he is still one of my heroes. And I loved how you brought his life to the big screen. There have been other attempts, but what you guys did was just so beautiful. How is it that you are able to bring these characters and people and stories to life in a way that, like we just saw with, I said actually in the beginning, the intro, that audiences are embracing these stories. Like Dietrich Bonhoeffer, back when I was reading it, wasn't really cool with teenagers, but I connected, and now we're seeing his life brought to the big screen, and people are suddenly connecting to this person they'd never heard of. And you guys are doing something innovative and unique. But we just saw too, and I mentioned this when I was bringing you on, that audiences, they even embraced King of Kings, which was up against Disney's huge flop, Snow White. And some of the stats on that: King of Kings had a 98% Rotten Tomatoes audience score and an A+ cinema score, grossing 65 million globally. It may be more than that. These are just the numbers I pulled. While Disney's Snow White struggled with a 72% audience score, and I think it's down now, and a 202 million globally despite a 270 million budget. So what is it? What are you guys doing right in bringing stories like Dietrich Bonhoeffer, this like German theologian, or King of Kings up against Disney's classic Snow White, and you guys are succeeding? What is it? What's the secret sauce?
It's an awesome question, and I'm going to keep you're going to hear a common theme in my answers a lot of times, but it's getting out of that kind of that dark boardroom, honestly, in Hollywood, and actually giving the keys, giving the steering wheel, giving the reins to the audience. Listen, for years, independents have been trying to make stories that matter. Independent filmmaking is powerful. That's why a lot of times for many decades, you'd go to film festivals to see some of the most powerful independently produced films. And even that has been kind of messed up in the Netflix culture and the Amazon culture today, because now it's kind of, again, it's gone into this agenda driven phase. So what is the secret sauce? We are letting the filmmakers create first off, and then they take their creation, and if they believe that Angel is the place to distribute their film, they submit it to our guild. So we have a process. It's called the Torch process, and it's based on the Statue of Liberty, the first successful crowdfund in the United States. Right, pretty powerful when you think of the pedestal was Pulitzer, and the torch was another one that was done in France. So we call it a torch. We want the audience to come in and watch 5 to 15 minutes of your film, and it needs to be an actual piece of your film. But if you haven't made the movie yet, you got to figure out a way to get 5 to 15 minutes done that you can show, not a sizzle, not a trailer, but actually make some of that film, right?
Okay.
I'm using jargon here in the film world, but it's what we do, like, a lot of times. So now the audience looks at it and they give you thumbs up or thumbs down. We ask only 2 questions, and it's, does this film amplify light? And we define amplifying light as that which is excellent and authentic and noble and lovely. And those are the things that kind of bring the audience together. So does the film do that? It doesn't mean is there no pain. It doesn't mean is there no violence. It doesn't mean is there no, dark, valley. But it means, what is it amplifying? What is it shining a light on? It's a powerful question.
It is, when you actually like soak in that question, and then I will reverse it to what Hollywood's putting out, and it's like, what is Hollywood amplifying? Certainly not light. Certainly not light. It's a whole lot of darkness over there. So I love that. That's the first question. Men don't belong in women's sports. 79% of Americans agree, but only one athletic brand is taking a stand: XXXY Athletics. Their brand mission is to stand up for female athletes and the protection of women's sports. The clothes are so high quality. I'm actually wearing one of their shirts right now. This one's my favorite. You guys ask about it every time I wear it because it also makes a statement that you stand with women and girls. XXXY Athletics has amazing logo tees like what I'm wearing right now, and premium workout clothes including leggings, moisture-wicking tops and tanks, tennis dresses. You guys have seen me wear that cute tennis dress that's gonna be my go-to all summer, and skirts and more. You no longer have to sacrifice fit, quality, and style to wear your values. And honestly, why in the world would you give your money to the big brands that sell women out when you could wear XXXY Athletics? So head to thetruthfits.com, enter promo code RootedWings20 to get 20% off. That's code RootedWings20 for 20% off only at thetruthfits.com.
Yeah, the second question is, would you be very disappointed, or somewhat disappointed if Angel did not distribute this film? Right. And those two questions, and how long it takes someone to watch and how quickly they vote, all those things, we have lots of different data points. But those two questions are the questions that get asked. And if you score high enough, the film hits my desk and several other my partner's desk, and we start to talk to those filmmakers about where do you fit within the Angel family, and how can we help you get this film finished if it isn't finished, or distributed if it is finished. And just giving that little piece of creative authority to the filmmaker. Guess what? We're going to have people that do feel powerful and have had their life changed by Dietrich von Bonhoeffer. And they're going to come to the table, and they're not going to be pitching a studio on it that's going to be looking for the commercial appeal of Bonhoeffer.
Yep.
And why, and are we going too face into this space, or are we going too dark, or the difficulty of World War II and all the different things? We're just saying, what does the audience want? What does the audience want?
It's such an upside down model. It's totally upside down. It's taking it through the audience first instead of going through these producers. I think it's going to change the entertainment industry, to be honest. Do you feel like, what has the response been from, when I say Hollywood, I'm talking about everyone outside of Angel Studios. What do you feel like the response has been to what you guys are doing from the others in the industry?
I think they're kind of standing on the sidelines and waiting to see if we're for real. Like we launched in 2023 with His Only Son, and then boom, Sound of Freedom hit, and it was this global box office success. We were the number 8 studio in 2023. We were the number 10 studio in 2024 without a $300 million picture. It's not like you come across $250 and $300 million box office independents hardly ever, right? So we've been kind of maintaining, and I think it's we're starting to get phone calls from all the usual suspects. I mean, the people that have been in the industry punching and ducking for years, and have looked at it and said, hey, I like what Angel is doing, and I like the fact that I, as a creative, major names that everybody on the show here would know, can actually go after a film, and they don't have to get the studio to greenlight it. They can just put it together and submit it and see what happens. There's something freeing in that. You can imagine, if you've been a part of an action-based franchise for years, that's kind of what the studios expect you to do. And all of a sudden, we have this real viable path for a wide theatrical release. I mean, people don't realize this, but Memorial Day, we will have done 13 feature films in box office, right?
In a very short period of time. Very short period of time. Yeah.
2 years. In 2 years, and our average screen count is over 2,000 screens. That's huge. Okay. Just for the average person listening that doesn't know everything about the film, we're talking we're getting to Marvel levels of screen. Wow. When you get into the 2,000, 3,000 plus screen count, when you open your movie, that's like huge franchise type movies. And why are we getting that? We're getting it because we've got 80 engineers on our team. And we are constantly iterating and building technology that helps capture ticket sales, where we can pre-sell and get our raving fans behind movies early. Like when you think of The Last Rodeo, that's going to come out here Memorial Day 2025, right? So that's on, May 23rd, May 22nd, right around there. We have 127,000 tickets that have already pre-sold right now.
Oh my gosh.
And they've been pre-selling for weeks. On site, this little movie biopic that I did a year ago, same thing. We started pre-selling 8 weeks ahead of time. King of Kings, which blew all box office records, had pre-sold $14.6 million in tickets before opening night.
Before opening night.
Before we launched the movie, we had already pre-sold that kind of those kinds of numbers, and so we were able to. It was something just kind of to behold. So those kinds of numbers, that kind of excitement, that inertia is really it's changing things. And so people, the exhibitors, for instance, the AMCs were great partners, the Marcus theaters, the Harkin, all of them that are out there, megaplexes, they're looking at us saying, you're bringing a lot of tickets, you're bringing butts in seats, so to speak. We want to give you the screen count. I mean, Last Rodeo, look, it's going up against Mission Impossible.
Okay.
Lilo and Stitch. I mean, come on, those are huge.
Yeah, those are
massive IPs.
Yep.
We still got over 2,000 theaters.
Oh my God.
The exhibitors are still giving Angel Studios for that 2,000 theaters. People don't realize this. Sound of Freedom went up against Indiana Jones.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah, I didn't know that. It won.
It beat the box office that weekend.
Wow.
That was July 4th, 2023. So those types of stories, people are going, wow, something's going on. It doesn't seem like a one-hit wonder. It seems like they continue to get word out there, and we're cutting checks. I mean, that's the other thing, is we're actually cutting checks to filmmakers.
Yeah.
When they come on our streaming platform and they share in that revenue with us, in perpetuity. Okay, we have a very unique model when it comes to that. We partner with our filmmakers. We don't just buy their project and then take all the upside. We partner with them, and they share in the revenue in a meaningful way that we bring in through our membership.
So even that is different, how you're building partnerships.
Yeah, it kind of harkens back to the early Netflix days, and Netflix realized, we're making a lot more money if we just own the whole thing, and they flipped the switch on that. We're dedicated to not do that. We want to be partners with our filmmakers, and we want the filmmaking community, the directors and our producers and actors, to feel like this is a home. This is a place that we can actually make meaningful content for the future.
I just love it. I love the innovation. I personally love what you guys have been putting out. I'm excited to watch the is it King David? King David? Is that the name of the series? I haven't started watching that yet.
Yes, we've got the David animation. We've got Young David already on our platform, so you're able to see little vignettes of the shepherd and the poets, and a larger animation is forthcoming. It's going to be a huge project.
Yeah, I'm so excited about just all of it. I think what you guys are doing is so needed, and obviously, like we just said, like, you're at a point now where you can't be ignored. You're doing something right. The audience is responding with growing hunger for what you're putting out. I wonder how much of it too is just culture has shifted. Culture is always evolving, and I think we were at a point where everything was so dark and heavy for a while, and bloody and gory and devastating and sad and weird. And I just remember, even like, I can think of some movie we saw a while ago, and it was like this floating in space movie that was just like weird and like vacuumed it was very nihilistic. But I think that's been like the spirit of the age recently, has just been this nihilism. And I don't know, I think the pendulum has begun to swing, where people are like, we kind of don't like this whole nihilistic thing. Like, we didn't know how to peg it, but that's what it was. And we want stories that bring hope and encouragement and make us feel like life is worth living, and there is good, and there is holy, and there is beauty, and there's lovely, and there's deep virtue that transcends this life. And that's what you guys have been calling to with what you're doing. So I just love you. I love what you're doing. Okay, I'm going to ask you, is there anything that you can sneak peek us on that this audience might be excited, even if you just sneak it out Like anything that you can tell me?
Um, we announced recently in a small, pretty tight group within our guild that we will be partnering up with Kevin James on one of his new rom-coms coming out in 2026. That is going to be awesome.
Wow. Okay.
Just awesome. So we've got a Kevin James project. Not a lot of we haven't put this out there too far yet.
It's out now.
That's called Solo Mio, and you'll be seeing a lot more about that. We are very, very excited. Kevin is prolific and one of the best. We think his particular take absolutely amplifies light. He's like singing out of the same hymnal in so many ways, and he brings just everything that we've come to love about Kevin James to the big screen. So we can't wait to bring that project.
Is this your first time doing like a rom-com with Angel Studios?
We haven't done yet. There have been some unique projects that have been out there, but this is like this would be like plant a flag in the ground.
This is so. And when is this? Like, when are you thinking that this would land for the audience?
It'll be sometime probably in the beginning of 2026.
Gosh, so fun. Well, I am just so stoked on your mission that you are bringing light not just into the industry, but into our living rooms and movie theaters. How can people be a part of this guild? If people are listening, they're like, I want to be one of the ones that can vote yes or no and be involved. Is that something that's still open or is that closed? And yeah, that's my first question, and then we'll close out.
Yeah, well, think of it this way. When you join Netflix, you become a subscriber, right? It's very transactional. You go on, you pay your certain amount per month, and you're a subscriber. And what do you get for that? Thousands and thousands of titles that you oftentimes spend hours just looking through the titles to try and find it, and you get too tired to watch anything.
That is the story of my life. It used to be Blockbuster. Remember when we had like Blockbuster?
Yes.
My husband and I were dating, and we would go through those the aisles endlessly, and then we'd pick out the one that's like, oh, sorry, that one's out of stock, and then we're like, forget it. It's too late. We'll just go home.
We're out of here. Yeah, we're out of here. Here's how we do it. When you join Angel, you become a member of a community, not a subscriber, but a member. And that member has perks all around it. One of those perks is anyone that gets our monthly subscription, or I should say membership, is you pay anywhere from $12 to $20. There's a lot of specials that are always out there per month, and that gives you access to all of the voting. So you get to vote on future titles. You get to look at all the old titles that Angel has. But here's the kicker. If you are a premium member, you get 2 complimentary tickets to every theatrical release that Angel does. So it already pays for itself, and we plan on having many theatrical releases into the future. So you just go to angel.com and you'll find all the information on joining the guild. It's not some kind of a close-knit group of people. Anyone can join the guild. You can join the guild right now. It'll be done in less than 5 minutes, and you can just try it out. You just try it out.
You know what is cool too is in this era where I think parents are becoming more and more aware of like Hollywood's intent to just get your kids and put an agenda in front of them that is very much not aligned with many of the viewers in this audience, their values. What's cool is that with Angel Studios, there is such a comfort level that you can join the guild and you can get all these great titles that you can comfortably say, hey, let's do a family movie night. And you're not going to be like, oh gosh, I got to like research. Is there going to be something that's going to jump out that's a surprise? It's like, no, you're not going to find that, because the mission here is to truly to upbuild what is good and beautiful and bright, and not to sneak in all the dark stuff.
You nailed it, Britt. You absolutely nailed it. And our engineers just added a new feature on those little short torches, those 5 to 15 minute pieces. You can actually gather your family around now, and we've given everyone their own profile where everyone gets to vote. If you're 4 years old, 6 years old, 8 years old, you can watch little 5-minute submissions of children's shows, and you select the children's section, and then they can say, yeah, I liked it, or I didn't like it. And
that's
can
so
great.
Opinion. I love that. Is so cool. What a great idea to get the kids involved too. That's exciting. Well, you guys are just doing such an awesome job. I'm so thankful for you taking the time to sit down and share all this with this community. I know we said it before, but how can people find what Angel Studios is doing and be a part of the Guild?
Feel free to visit angel.com and you'll find all the information you need.
Thanks so much, David.
It's great to be with you, Britt. Thank you and everything you guys do.